Wow, I cannot believe I'm actually doing two in a row. So this is very much an anomaly, but I felt the need to do this one, especially in this current environment of dating and the the strangeness that comes into the social uh, interactions, I guess, within that dating concept, with a heavy presence of, say, the online stuff. Personally, I have to say I do not understand the online thing. It was probably a lot better before, but now it seems like it's sieved through the the positive ones and now has gotten more into just recycling the negative ones. And I could be 100% wrong. I don't go on it, but the what I hear is just kind of almost getting to the point of scary. So maybe that is just something that's been reinforced in uh, social media, but seems a little bit um, dangerous, I guess, in general. However, I've done this topic before, but that was a million years ago. And I wanted to kind of dust this topic off because no matter what, there you have to be social in your life or lives, and with whatever capacity you want it to be. So, with regards to uh, dating, this information, again, experiential, totally just my perspective as an INTJ female. Take it for what it is. It is definitely coming through the lens of a person that is more on the older side of things. So I will I guess I will vet this with also the mention that when I was younger, I was horrendous at dating. I basically ended up with half of my boyfriends through just hanging out with them and then ended up becoming a thing. So, cold call dating wasn't something that I was even remotely part of. And when I did face that time in my life that I had to go into that world of talking to strangers, I was horrifically bad at it. I couldn't look anyone in the eye. I didn't know how to engage. When someone came up to me, I was no better because I was reading way too much Cosmo, trying to glean any sort of information that I clearly didn't understand. And by no means are those types of magazines anything with regards to helpful about, especially as an INTJ, because it basically is counterintuitive to what we actually are internally. So we come across as inauthentic when we're trying to display uh, flirtiness as the same as, say, the 98% of the population that aren't INTJs. So, all that being said, going into this. So, I'm reading off notes because I will forget this stuff. I do believe that as an INTJ, we definitely have an opportunity in the world of dating because we are who we are. And a lot of times we kind of beat ourselves up for it. And maybe we've heard it enough that we aren't for everyone and we're uh, intimidating and that type of thing. But we also have something going for us where we don't have invested feelings in it. So if you take a step back and look into it from the lens of basically one human and one human having a brief interaction and not having any ego attached to an outcome, there's nothing that is emotionally weighted or scary on that. And I expect to hear a ton of comments on this. So I'd love to hear. But because we're not coming necessarily from a feeling aspect, we're not going with our feelings first, we don't have that potential heaviness of our identification being somewhat tied to it. So especially working with what you've got, all of us have unique characteristics, and we're going to be attracted to people that potentially are going to be attracted back to us, because not everyone is attracted to everyone. So we might be hunting, like, sorry, I should not say hunting, but in this day and age, but we might be interested in approaching someone that is not at all what other people would be considering textbook attractive. So all that being said, we definitely have the opportunity that we can come with ourselves authentically, where we can display ourselves in a way that is genuine without providing a lot of actual intel. Because as most of us are, at least for myself, it may sound like I'm providing a lot of contextual personal information, but I always play by the rule that if I will tell it to you, I will also tell it to the CEO of the company I work for, because the information isn't something material to me, but it might be something that provides a bridge to give this initial exchange some weight, some bearing. So I'll give you an example right now. So there's a certain individual, and he was sitting with a group of colleagues at a table beside me, and I was working on my computer, and I couldn't help overhearing this certain individual because his voice carried very well. And he was a unique looking individual. But what I definitely noticed is that he was saying things in a very open way, something that I haven't heard for a long time. Most people are closed off, or they are disingenuous, I guess, or they don't maybe have personality, but this person had a certain charisma that I could hear that was being relayed to his colleagues. And he made a note about how he's like, I don't know how I managed to pick up. And I immediately thought that was interesting, because not that I looked over to him at the time, but because I've already kind of taken a look at him, but it was the way his intonation said it made it sound very genuine. A little bit that he knows what he's doing, but also he has a little bit of humility. And I don't know this person at all. However, it was interesting. And these guys sounded very, affable and that type of thing. So he got up, and when they were leaving, he comes over to my table and he's like, I apologize if, you had to listen to a bunch of our stuff. And I decided, I'm like, I'm going to tell him what I found interesting about what he was saying. So I told him, I'm like, I looked at him and I said, hey, it was just, you were mentioning about how you don't know how you're picking people up. And he kind of like joked because he's with his colleagues. And I said to him, I'm like, I have to say, I think it's my 2 cents is the reason why you can pick up so well is because you're open and you come across funny and you're genuine and chicks dig it or something along those lines. And I also, Artie's like, oh, okay, well, thank you. And he comes and sits down at my table. And this is in the afternoon, this isn't at night. And he goes and asks me a couple of other questions. We exchanged names. And I had to say, I'm like, and on top of it, you have the best nose. And he's like, what? He's like, well, okay, well, apparently Polish Jewish noses are attractive to you. And I said, well, no, it's like, yeah, it's a very authentic, unique nose. And I think it's really, it's a great nose. And he's like, he honestly was taken back and just looking at me like, what the heck? But the main point of what I'm trying to get at is that I was genuine in everything I said. There's nothing there that I wouldn't say to a female that was in the same conversation with a group of friends. So it's, while you can consider it flirting, to me personally, life is about charisma and being open to provide these easy compliments for other people. And they can take with it what they want. You don't know them at all. You don't know if that is something they struggle with or if that is anything. However, the interesting thing is, out of it, is that all of a sudden he provides me his business card. And I wasn't interested in that aspect of things, but I thought that was really cool in the way that I'm like, hey, that's one of the gifts that come with being maybe a more mature, beaten down INTJ that has gone through the ringer with, you know, tried and failed types of social interaction, where you now realize you don't have anything that is supposed to be lost in those types of exchanges. Nothing has been taken away from you in order to provide that for someone else. And again, I would say the same is if that was a group of women. And again, I'm heterosexual, so it wouldn't be trying to be a come on. It's just being authentic and providing something polite and kind to another human being. So with that being said, we don't have that weight that is tied. Again, I will tell you that this is me as a more mature INTJ. Back when I was younger, no, I couldn't do that because I would have analyzed every angle and I would have built something crazy up in my head about the whole like 360 degrees of it, and it for nothing, and it would have turned out embarrassing. I wouldn't have done it, or if I tried, I would have epically failed with a total blush everywhere all over my face and nothing positive out of it. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up is with regard to that exchange, it came up with something else where you're able to see an honest reaction from the person that you are mentioning this to. You're able to see pretty quick, and this is where the intuition side comes in. You're able to analyze very quickly if this person has any additional depth of intellect, rapport building, because a person that doesn't have that would come across flat on receiving that information, or they could be even rude, or they could be silly and be all like, yeah, she thinks I'm hot or something like that. They could do a bunch of stuff. And that really quickly makes a decision for the INTJ female, I would say, me anyways, that that person doesn't have a character that I'd be interested in pursuing after. So it actually does a double vet where you're throwing that out to them, and it's like if it's a positive or negative reception, that is its own first step. The next step is how they internalize and how they respond, because then it goes into more banter and what kind of person they are, which is a lot of the stuff that comes out of, say, first interactions. So the other part I wanted to quickly mention, and I know this is a very long one, but I find it really interesting and I want to hear your story. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that I feel that we've gone so far away from organic dating nowadays that it's become this almost a meme about, and this is very much our real lives. We make homes with people that we meet. We, share money. We do a ton of stuff out of these interactions. So this isn't a game. This is our lives. This isn't just for social media and making sure that we have likes because we're, portraying what we want to portray. The other piece I wanted to quickly mention is we don't come across necessarily as the typical female when we're doing this. So they get to see an angle that they will know right away if that's something, that kind of person is someone that they're interested in. So we're leading in a really weird way because we're not coming in as coquettish. I don't even know if that's a word. We're not, leading with boobs first or that type of deal. And again, I'm just speaking stereotypes here. That's not how every female interaction is, but it's maybe not what is expected. And that's refreshing, I believe, because they have the opportunity just to take it for what it is and then internalize it and go from there. And because we rely on the thinking and intuition side, intuition says to me, hey, I absolutely feel the impetus to go and mention these things to this person. And that's it. There's no mindset beyond that. And then whatever happens after, that is where the thinking comes in. And you're like, oh, that was interesting. Does it line up over the other stuff I have seen in my past? What is, where does it fit in observations I've had it before? Then, way later, that's when the fun stuff starts, when if anything would happen after these types of exchanges, so say you end up going out on a couple of dates or do whatever, that is where that nebulous feeling side comes in, where our senses are tied very much to our feelings on everything is picked up. If we have these positive, receptive vibes that are coming off of them through the first, like the intuition and then the thinking, and those two are playing off each other and noticing, hey, this is looking good. Then the feelings start kicking in, and then you start really observing through the sensing, because everything is heightened and it's stuff that we find special, and we're not sure what is going to happen out of it. And that's the exciting thing, because we like puzzles, and the best thing about puzzles is trying to figure it out or understand or see what's going to go on. And that imagination is pulling our intuition and our thinking into So our strengths into this scary part of the feeling and the sensing. But with that, we're able to, especially as we're more mature and we know more about what we are, we suck at versus what we're good at, and what we like versus what we don't like, or we at least know what we don't know, we can describe all of that together and decide where we want to go from there. And again, not the sexiest thing, can't say enough. Like my ex-husband said, INTJs are not for everyone. However, it's always interesting, and I think that this is something that we might bring to the table, that we take, or we underutilize because we're so worried by the conscripts of what we've been told about what we are, because we get too much into the MBTI thing, and trust me, I'm part of it. But a lot of times, once you get over the hurdles of yourself, you're able to move into that new exciting idea, which is what we find super interesting about society and interaction and life. As always, love hearing your comments. I already read a bunch of the ones that came in from the last video. I have responded to some from 4 years ago. That's how sad it is. It gets really backed up. But I always love hearing them. And again, always love ideas for future videos. So thanks so much. And hopefully I will get one done before, the next quarter.